Hello, everyone. I'm Kathleen, and Larry and I are here today with Jay Chachula. Hey, Jay.
Hey.
Hey, Jay.
Oh, we're so excited that you're here to join us. Thank you so much for doing this. Jay, you and I have known each other, like, was it the Jackie Robinson story?
Was it the first time we met?
I don't know. Was it before then?
I don't remember meeting you.
Oh,
it's Kathleen, right?
Yeah, nice.
With a K.
With a K. Okay, of course with a K. As with crazy and clown. No, I don't. It seems like I've always known you.
I was trying to figure it out. I know.
It may have been, but did you do? Was Nature Fun Theater before or after?
Oh, maybe drawing. You're right. Maybe it's Nature Fun Theater. Yeah. Yeah, Larry, I don't even know if you know this about us. We did a thing called Nature Fun Theater at the Museum of
Natural Sciences.
Natural Sciences every Wednesday and Saturday. And they were like 10 to 15-minute little shows about science. Yeah. And we got paid. So it was like big time. We got our own parking spaces and everything for free. It was great. So I have been, and Jay, you can chime in, I've been a woolly worm. I've been a beaver. I've been...
you were a caterpillar ever?
I was a caterpillar. So we've been everything across the board. Jay, you've been a lot of fun things as well. I know that. I also was a snapping turtle, which was definitely typecasting. But anyway, so.
Right, and that was did you do the musical version?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because I got my friend, because it was a version of it, and for the grant, I proposed rewriting it and making it into a musical, I think. So I have a buddy of mine who's a composer.
That's great.
And we wrote it and we performed it.
Wow. So Jay, how did you get the acting, directing, everything bug? Like, were you a kid?
A lot of different bugs.
It's a
it's the kind of thing you find out you're doing it before you even know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I guess I was a bit of a performer as a kid, although I was pretty shy, not unusual. Mm-hmm. But I wrote a couple of shows when I was in New York, when I was it's like, I don't know, 9, 10, 11, I wrote a couple of shows and performed them in the garage. I remember. They were both parodies. One was something called the 13 o'clock news. I remember doing that. It was, of course, a parody of a news show. But the first formal show wasn't until junior high. There's a show called The Skull at East Carrick Junior High, and that was the first time I was on stage in front of an audience. That was not like a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. Right. Yeah. Right.
Did you play The Skull?
No, and I played ace reporter Bob Demarest. I was the comic relief. It was a mystery comedy, really poorly, really just a crappy show. But I remember what I remember is bumping into the furniture accidentally and getting a big laugh. And then, of course, intentionally bumping into the furniture as much as I could the entire minute of the show. So,
absolutely.
I used to practice tripping over the footstool that Dick Van Dyke did in the opening of Dick Van Dyke when I was 6. So what was the first show you were in, not counting grade school, maybe after high school?
After high school, like in college or after college?
Sure, when people actually paid to come see you.
Did they pay in college?
I don't know.
Well, I guess they did, yeah. I don't know, I wouldn't have been, I did my freshman year was I was pretty active. Probably my most active year ever. I think I did 5 shows that year, and I haven't done 5 shows in a year since. Nowhere near it.
Wow.
It was an original show called Cyclone. And a guy named Bob Blue wrote it, and it was about a guy who discovers that he'd been cloned.
Oh. Wow.
And he meets his donor at one point.
Oh.
And yeah, it was weird. What I remember about that was not the being on stage doing it, but I remember the rehearsals, which were extraordinarily weird and probably yeah, you couldn't do that kind of thing today. Those rehearsals we had were, this is the early 80s. my whole first couple of years of acting training were not politically correct, not socially, not
yeah.
You just couldn't get away with that stuff these days. Yeah. I don't think I even answered the question, did I, or just barely?
Oh yeah, the first show was the Cloning's play.
Yeah.
Did you have any mentors back then?
I guess when I was in high school, my drama teacher there took a real interest in me, and I just her name was Jane Elizabeth. She was Mosier, and she was young enough so that a lot of us really she could identify with us, and she got along well with us, and you know, I think she took an interest in me, and that really felt good at the time because I wasn't a particularly popular kid, and I wasn't particularly good at sports or any one of a number of, so I don't remember that she ever gave me any advice or it's something I can remember. But what I remember is how she made me feel. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
I remember feeling much better about myself and taking that on. Yeah.
That's really important, of course.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten great acting advice from anyone?
Yeah. I would guess that the stuff that made the biggest impression on me was after I left college. So I quit college. I was at UNCG at their undergraduate program, and it was very traditionally method-based. And I didn't really connect with it. There's it just seemed like a lot of homework that didn't really lead to anything. But I was exposed to Sanford Meisner's work at the American Academy. And that was the first thing that really made an impression on me. Any other success I'd had on stage before was accidental and really confusing. So I guess the best advice, to put it in a nutshell, was his definition of acting, which was acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances.
Right.
And that was a big thing. And I hadn't heard, that was a definition that made sense to me, because when you broke it apart, living truthfully meant that the seed of the craft of acting is in the reality to it. Mm-hmm. When you do something, you really do it. You don't pretend to do it.
Right.
So I always held on to that, if you're not really doing what it is you're supposed to be doing, and the character's doing, you're not really acting.
So that's why you told Larry to really sweep the floor.
Right. Well, that's it. That's it. Because people know we have great bullshit detectors. People know when people are not behaving truthfully.
It's my safety net. I mean, if you're really doing the action, it's my safety net. If I'm really in the moment, it's my safety net. I don't have to pretend. I know it's a lot more complicated than that. But
no, that's it. That's it. You don't have to pretend. Right. It's a lot easier to just sweep the freaking floor than it is to pretend you're sleeping.
Right.
Why not just do the simpler thing? Yeah.
Do you have a favorite theater or movie actor?
Oh, too many of them. A lot of them would be, Daniel Day-Lewis, of course, Meryl Streep, all the people you would think that put up there. But there are a lot. I mean, tons of them. And I'm not great with names, so Viggo Mortensen, he's a terrific actor. Yeah.
Jay, do you have a worst audition story?
Theater, or does it matter whether it's theater or film?
Not at all.
A lot of them. Maybe most of them. It'd be easier to write a good one. I hate auditioning.
Yeah.
Most people do. I mean, although I think there's, I don't know. Oh, crappy audition. I don't know that any of them stand out. It's just a blur of misery, long blur of misery.
Okay.
I've always liked it when my favorite theater experiences are usually when you've developed a relationship with the people that are producing it, and they know you and they cast you because they know what you can do and they trust you, and you don't have to bother auditioning. So I've been lucky enough to get a good bit of work without having to, because if I had to rely on my audition skills,
Same.
Yeah, me too.
it's not set up. You're not set up for getting the best out of an actor. And there's some actors who do really well at it, but even when they do really well at it, it doesn't even scratch the surface of what they're probably capable of. So
yeah.
What is one of your favorite shows you've been in?
I was just talking about it. I think about a show the other day called A Dress for Mona, which no one saw, or very few people saw, I would say. I shouldn't say that. I don't know how many people saw it. But it was a play about a Baha'i martyr named Mona. Mona, I'm going to screw up her name. It's Persian. So anyway, I played her father in a production that was just, I don't know how to describe it. I was asked to audition by someone I had recently met, and I read the script, and I thought there was a part I really thought I could do well. It was a small part. I really wasn't looking for a big part. And I went to audition, and he said, yeah, you could do that, but would you mind reading for the father? And the father was really a big, very demanding role. And it just seemed beyond me, or at least something that was too uncomfortable to do. And he convinced me to read for it, and then he just cast me. And I never even read for that other part that I really wanted. But it was a cast of, most of the people in the cast were completely new to acting.
Wow.
There were a few that had some experience, but the cast was made up primarily of people who were really passionate about the story.
Okay.
And I went from first kind of being a little, I guess, arrogant or intolerant, because they didn't know the first thing about theater at all, to a point where their passion was something that I hadn't seen or maybe even experienced in a while. And that made up for so much of what they may have lacked in, so-called skills. And in the end, the production was very, it was the first chance I got, actually, after I got out of school, to really use some of the skills that I'd learned. That's the thing that the production that kind of cemented these ideas in my head. Oh, wow, it really works. Outside of a classroom, this works. So I don't know, that's a good
That's
answer.
great. Yeah.
But,
is there a role you've always wanted to play?
I don't know that I don't know that they're really, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind was something that's kind of silly. I think I always wanted to play the Artful Dodger.
Yeah.
When I was, my late teens. And then I quickly realized I was way too old to play the Artful Dodger and not a particularly good singer. So, although I thought I could sing that song,
Yes.
I thought I could do Consider Yourself. I think I could do that song.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. What type of actor do you like to be on stage with?
Oh, wow. Someone who's on stage with me. Someone who's got all their attention on me. So I can be free to put all my attention on them. And we lose a sense of maybe anything else in the room except what we're doing, what's going on between us. That's the kind of actor. I mean, that's one part. Sense of humor, someone who's really soulful and brave, someone's courageous.
Right.
People who are okay with being simple. People who are okay with being bad.
Right.
Who are willing to take chances and make choices that aren't working. Yeah, someone like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been lucky. I've had a few like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
We all have great moments on stage. Can you think of one or two that means a lot to you still remember?
Besides when you were the frog and the toad and all that.
I think moments on stage that where all the technique and all the studying and all the rehearsals, those moments where that all disappears. They're rare, at least in my experience. I was doing a play called Dinner with Friends.
I love that play.
With some friends, right? And there was a scene where we were, it was summer, we were all hanging out. It was like a cookout sort of thing. There was actual cooking going on stage, which was kind of cool. So there's nice smells were going on. And we were drinking a little bit, and I knocked over my beer, my faux beer. And the glass just shattered. And of course, it was an accident. And everyone just immediately got to work. We got a broom, in character, without missing a beat, we just dealt with it. And as a result, there was so much life and spontaneity, and it was so much fun to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
That I remember the next few performances, it was difficult for me to avoid the temptation of knocking it over on purpose, but you can't do that. And I never did it, but boy, I was tempted, because you get into a rhythm, you get into habits, and you stop paying attention. And this is the kind of thing that really, suddenly, we were on fire in the present. It was really nice. It was cool.
I love that monologue, and I think you might have played the role where you tell your friend that when he's leaving his wife, that he's kind of breaking up with you as well. That you two had a relationship as well, and you're supposed to.
Yes.
Oh, it's a beautiful monologue.
Yeah, I played the other guy. Yeah, I played the other guy. The guy that was in our production, Jerome Johnson played that role. Yeah, it's terrific. And he was he broke my heart. He broke my heart. Yeah.
Anything else funny?
God. I was sort of famous when I was in my manic phase. I went through many years of being on stage and sort of trying to create a performance through sheer panic. So I would hurt myself and not realize it until afterwards. But I had this long monologue where I'm talking to my two imaginary friends, and I am literally throwing myself across the stage. And it was just adrenaline, I guess. But afterwards, there were bruises and scratches all over me that I couldn't feel at all. And I remember once during a scene, I think an improvised scene in Charleston with the trans actors years ago, I jumped off the stage into the orchestra pit. It was just complete darkness. I had no idea how deep the thing was, or what was down there, but I was at the edge and I jumped off. Yes.
Wow.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
It leads into my next question. If you could go back in time and meet your younger self when you first started acting and performing, what advice would you give yourself?
Find a good teacher. I think that would be that's a huge thing. And for me, sort of simultaneously with my growth or development as an actor came sort of wrestling with developing a sense of self-esteem without getting too without launching into a therapy session here. That was a real as important as vulnerability is to acting. Being insecure and lacking a sense of self-worth and self-love is a real, that's the thing that I would really approach first. I mean, it would have helped if I had a better teacher, because that teacher would have, the skills that I would have been learning as an actor would have helped me with that. Because I was so self-conscious and so self-absorbed, because I was so scared.
Wow.
I was so worried about what people were thinking of me and people were watching me and all that, that I couldn't pay attention to what I needed to pay attention to, which was outside myself. So that's, I would yeah, maybe get some therapy and find a good acting teacher. So.
And what, were you interested in improv this whole time, or is that something that developed later?
I was interested in it without knowing I was interested in it. I was interested in it because what I always loved to do was fool around with my friends in that way.
Right.
But once the minute I formally started doing any improvisation, it was too scary. I mean, I remember doing a little bit in high school, and actually, you know that game Freeze Tag? Mm-hmm. Well, I would stay up the night before and make up the scenes and the characters that I would do the next day, and just sort of, shove them into whatever, wherever I could.
Just in case.
And people just thought I was brilliant. It was totally bogus. I mean, it was complete, because I really, that kind of exposure was too much for me. I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're amazing at it. So that's why I'm just like, you're always very funny and quick. And I remember being in rehearsals.
Because there are no stakes in rehearsals.
Yeah.
You're just playing around. Mm-hmm. Had you asked me to do that on stage, I would have froze up. Okay. But among friends, people that I trust and care about, that have a similar sense of humor, oh, forget about it. It's just, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
That's great.
What's the first thing you want to do when we get out of this, whatever this life we're living right now, and go back to a semi-normal life?
What's really weird is that right before this happened, I was becoming, I guess over the past couple of years, I've becoming more and more, maybe more than 2 years, aware of appropriate touch. Because the Me Too movement and everything else that was going on, I started to take a look at what I was doing and recognizing that maybe in some cases I was a little too, I would go up and talk to somebody. It wasn't usual for me to put a hand on a shoulder, or a back, or and I was beginning to get a little more self-conscious about that. And not only that, wondering whether it was appropriate or whether that kind of touch was welcome. I think, honestly, my rejection sensors are very acute. So I'm very well aware of people that don't want me near them. Yeah. At least I'm pretty sure I am. It's maybe I'm a little hypersensitive when it comes to that. But among people that I really care about and respect and trust, and especially in the intimate process of theater, I didn't want to confuse people. Mm-hmm. And also, I didn't want to run the risk of, I didn't always know who my students were.
Right.
I mean, I remember when I went back to New York to study with a guy named Mary Silverberg back in 2001, 2002. And he did extensive interviews with everyone before he let anyone come into his class. And one of the reasons why he didn't, first of all, he had to measure your commitment. He had to make sure that you were in this and you were 100% committed. The other thing was that he had to make sure that you were stable mentally. This is the kind of work that can lead to a lot of complications and a lot of anyway. I think you get a sense of what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah. So, but honestly, the first thing I just to be able to be near someone that I'm teaching, you know, of course to hug, but really the big thing. I mean, luckily I'm sequestered with my family, who I love very much, and I get to touch and squeeze and hold and all that. But not being able to be close to my students has been a real problem.
Yeah.
This wall, this interface, this distance is really, really difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Well, I've told this to Larry, but, you know, my husband said, you know, I believe that when this is all over, people aren't going to shake hands as much as they used to at all. And my response was, that's okay, because in theater, we just hug. You know?
It's true.
You know?
It's true.
Yeah.
But I was a fan of the handshake. I liked there were lots of different, you got a lot from a handshake.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of interesting plays written about this time period. Should be coming out in a couple of years.
There will be.
Well, there's already been one, I think, written over a play written for Zoom by a professional playwright.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's
I can't
great.
think of the name of it, but anyway.
There'll be more.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. It's been so much fun.
You invite me. Yeah.
And I'm going to apologize to the audience because it looks like we've had some internet problems, so there might be some lagging and some frozen video during this session. So I don't know what it is. Maybe we just have too many things going on. You know, we're just too vibrant and the internet can't handle it and stuff.
Maybe that's it.
That's okay.
Or it's the Russians.
Or it's the Russians, yeah.
Always the Russians.
It is.
The Russians and Chinese.
Yeah.
China.
Yeah.
China.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in person so we can have pancakes again.
Me too. We need some pancakes.
Yes, we do.
Some personal pancakes.
Yes, exactly.
All
right. Take care.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.